So it's that time of the week again, my favourite time of the week, when I sit down with my computer and read your comments here on the Kermode Uncut site. And two subjects dominating your comments at the moment. First one is I asked you to tell me where was the strangest and most appropriate place that you've seen a movie recently. Loads and loads of responses from you. Here are a few that caught my eye. From Ollie Sim, I watched the uncut version of Sarlo, 120 Days of Sodom, in Italy, in Sarlo, and I watched David Cronenberg's Crash in Westminster. This will only make sense to anyone who remembers that the Westminster Council actually banned David Cronenberg's Crash, and to the best of my knowledge, that ban has never been lifted. So, good work there. From Belt Sonata, I watched the original Dawn of the Dead projected onto the side of the new Cabot Circus shopping mall in Bristol, strangely appropriate. From Juju Beans Warwick, managed to rent Stagecoach and watch it on a laptop in a caravan in the middle of National Monument Valley. The locals laughed, but I would never have appreciated it as much in any other context. From Fortune's Fool 73, during a year in Australia, I watched Waterworld while lying in an outdoor swimming pool, and I bet it still sucked. And from Harmonica Bronson, strangest place we've ever watched a film? Do you want us to draw a picture as well? Can I use crayons? Fair enough. Now, the other subject which was dominating the Kermode Uncut site was the subject of the Bride Wars Challenge. And this has been a real kind of bonfire of response from you guys. What I said was, at the beginning of the year, that if there were 10 films worse than Bride Wars, I was going to pretty much quit film criticism, because I couldn't do another year in which there were 10 films worse than Bride Wars. And I said to you, let me know. Let me know if you think there are. I could come up with 4 so far. And loads of you have written in with really long lists of suggestions of films that are worse than Bride Wars, which makes me think two things. Firstly, do you want me to go? And secondly, and perhaps more importantly, let me be absolutely clear about the parameters of a film worse than Bride Wars, okay? It's not just that a film has to be bad. It's that a film has to be definitively terrible on every level to be worse than Bride Wars. And let me give you a couple of suggestions. Firstly, Terminator Salvation is not worse than Bride Wars. It's a rubbish film. It's a rubbish Terminator film. It's a McG film, but it's not worse than Bride Wars. There are a couple of moments in Terminator Salvation when something passingly interesting happens on the screen. It doesn't mean it's a good movie, but it's not worse than Bride Wars. Here's the real test. Angels and Demons, okay? A rotten sequel to a really rubbish movie, The Da Vinci Code. You remember my entire response to it was, turn the light on. It's a film in which people run into rooms and point at things, or in the sequel they run around and explain the plot to each other. But it's not worse than Bride Wars. And you know why? Very simply. Because in the moment when the guy jumps out of the helicopter and parachutes down into the Vatican, the skydiving pontiff moment, I did actually laugh. Out loud in the cinema, I was heard to chuckle, snigger, guffaw slightly. It got a response from me. To be worse than Bride Wars, you have to be really, really, really without redeeming value. And I wasn't being fatuous when I said if there are 10 worse films than Bride Wars, but believe me, on the suggestions that you've had so far, I think things are pretty safe, because worse than Bride Wars? Give me a break.